player on the other side to go on a tear, and they just don't really seem to have an answer all the time.
Well, let's take a look at our map ban phase before we dig deeper into this. Of course, the map is going to be very important in every single matchup. And of course, with a 7-map pool, we're only left with one in this best of 1 series. That can go to ties, and we go to Villa. Of all maps, this is the one we had. Okay, I see that smirk on your face, Des.
I'm just like, well, they loved Oregon so much the other day. Let's first ban it away today. That's back in the locker now. That's been hidden away for a few more weeks until we're ready to play it again. Villa's an interesting one. They did play it a couple of times during the Challenger League. We saw them on it once or twice there. I know one time they didn't really intend to go there, and it didn't go super well for them against Easy Dream. I believe they lost out 7-3 on that map. It wasn't the best for them, but it is kind of in their forte. It is about piecing together attacks and dealing with what the other team are doing. Are they roaming? Are they playing on site? So I think this plays into their comfort. Vitality, on the other hand, I'll leave to Jess.
Oh, goodness me. Given what you said about Team Secret, I'm worried for Vitality because Team Secret's strengths are being able to use their utility really effectively and gain access to site. Vitality, however, I can see they want to do it. Their time consumption, their ability to coordinate appropriately really isn't there yet. Yeah. And I think that this is one of those things that Team Secret is really ready to do and Vitality's just not completely ready to do. So I hope for Vitality's sake, they switch a few things up here and take a couple of operators that don't require them to open up a lot of areas that might take some time.
Yeah, I think we're all excited to see how Fabian and Rise kind of mesh together in this new squad, right? They're excellent players in their own, but filling in the big shoes of Vitality, all trying to mesh together, it takes time, and I'm not surprised that we're going to wait a couple of weeks before that happens. Remind everybody that it's 2 play days per week, so it was only a few days ago that they played the first time on Monday, so it's not a lot of time to kind of prepare in between, but hopefully that'll be a difference. Let's see what people think about this matchup, though. You can go and vote on all of these games on social media, on our Twitter, on @R6 Esports EU. 68% going for Vitality, 25% for Team Secret. The Germans definitely not here. At least fans trying to push for their squad. Vitality, a lot of big fan base behind them, and the self-proclaimed, best player in the world, God Emperor Fabian, bless him. So, is there final thoughts though on this game before we go in? Jess, how do you see this going?
I think the viewers are wrong on this one. I don't want to ruffle too many feathers here, but I think Team Secret, as I said, they might have this one in the bag unless we see Vitality, just pull something crazy together.
Des?
I'm not so sure, I was kind of backing Secret coming into today, but I think here, in the situation they're in, I think I do still back them slightly. I think you are going to see more comfort for Vitality today. The other day, it was Playday and Shaiko running riot on them. I'm concerned if Secret have the power to bring down these members on this team, led by Fabian instead, with the excellent IGL calling that he's got. I'm worried for Secret, but equally worried for Vitality. It's going to be a nervous game, right? I'll have no nails left at the end of it. I ain't got many to begin with.
Oh, that's stress fighting. Let's take it, though, into game. Vitality versus Team Secret on Villa. Nailbiter onto casters.
No faith in Vitality, it seems. There's been a lot of hype going into that new roster, but maybe not a lot of confidence from our analysts. We'll see whether they can take the fight to one of our newest additions to the EU League. Gio, we're back for another cast. Now, I want to know, what do you reckon about who's going to win this one?
It's incredibly difficult to guess, but I think knowing what I know about Team Secret and knowing that Villa is a map they really like, their playstyle is very object-orientated. They like to play very kind of logically and methodically. I think this map really works in their favor. And Vitality, while I really want to see great things come out from them this season, I don't know if it's been, a short enough amount of time for them to have kind of recovered and have that redemption from the first Playday. I don't want to be too harsh because you never know, right? It's very good players on this team. They've got to figure out what their problems are, and it could be that they've actually nailed something. But I'm leaning towards Secret.
Quite a contrast to what the viewers seem to think. Vitality are that more experienced team, so many experienced players, and the two that just joined, of course, Fabian and Rise, some of the most experienced players in Rainbow Six, full stop. But Secret have quite a significant legacy as well. Players like KS actually used to be a teammate of Fabian oh so long ago. But let's jump in this ban phase to kick it off. Secret going to get rid of the Habana. Not the most common ban, but can see perhaps how it would be impactful here on Villa. And the Thatcher and Hibana being removed means that if you're going to be hard breaching any walls, you have to get up nice, close, and personal with either the Maverick Torch or the exothermic charges, and that means you're much more vulnerable to things like C4s and stuff. So perhaps that's the angle that Secret are going for, and they want to play into that, kind of countering any potential Maverick or the Thermite.
I think the interesting thing is, like, when we go back to kind of what I was saying about Secret feeling very comfortable on this map, is they probably feel like they maybe have the upper hand in being able to work around these bans more so than Vitality would. So I think that's something that we have to consider is, as you say, Hibana, not necessarily the most orthodox of bans for this map, and it is a map that relies on those hard breaches a little more, and having her out of there might make it a little bit difficult, especially if you're coming into, for example, an Aviator, which they're not going to be going to anymore, but an Aviator defense where kind of you want to be standing outside of that veranda area, outside of study, and shooting the X-Gyros, obviously not going to be there anymore. That might be a little bit more difficult for a team who's struggling to coordinate with each other. They're still getting used to one another. They're still synergizing than it would be for a team whose the name of their game has so far been playing very coordinated and being very methodical, and they might have already considered that.
Bit of a tease out of that Montaigne there from Hungary, but 6 picks to the Yana. Now, we saw so much Montaigne just now with the G2 game versus Na'Vi. Pardon me. Na'Vi there on Cafe, and Montaigne is just so good at brute forcing, especially when you've got things like the Thatcher and hard breaches like the Hibana banned out. But, you know, that's not going to be relevant in this round as Hungary 6-picking onto the Yana, an operator that we're seeing come into a little bit of the meta, I guess, with Secret bringing it as well on Oregon just 2 nights ago. But if we want to kind of keep talking about that hard breach that we mentioned earlier, Goga is going to be playing the Maverick. Probably a wise decision, especially with both the Thermite and the Thatcher band and the Hibana band. Then you don't really need to bring any wall denial counters, if you will, other than the Maverick, because Maverick does that himself. So let's have a look at the Secret side. You've got the 2 C4s on Expo and Hive, and information gathering to boot. So Secret hoping to dictate the pace of this one with their roaming, prevent Vitality from taking downstairs, which they currently intend to do. As you can see, Fabian with a drone in dining, but it seems to be a split push as well, coming from the Aviator side.
I think it's actually very interesting that Vitality have opted to go for the Yana, because having that almost extra drone that people like to refer to it as, you see this Gemini running in now, because you're going up against a team who do have the Valkyrie available to them. She's been a very common ban lately, especially with the Echo perma ban, and that's really huge on denying intel to the defenders. So the fact that you have that Yana going up against that, it means you can almost fight intel with intel. And that gives the attackers somewhat of an advantage in this situation compared to what they may have otherwise had available to them. But as you say, so far things a little bit slow. There's the C4. Is it going to get him? Yes, it is. Bibu, he's going to be the first one to go down. And that means that Team Secret have a good start off to things here. One of those key C4s you mentioned has been used. But Prano, he's going to be getting a kill as well after Fabian finishes off one of his teammates. But Secret still being able to hold their own in this situation.
Lots of info for Secret, very clearly. Expo prepared for this gunfight, but Prano to help him out. It's all on Hungary now. 1 versus 4. Tough situation, but plenty of time to make it happen. The Gemini replicator also still fully charged for info if desired, but info is all against him right now. Expo just downstairs. No C4 left, but that cardiac sensor, no doubt, still super impactful. Hive, what are you doing, mate? Hungary's just going to shut that one down. Still a minute to go. Every little pick helps. Clearly, Hungary is aware of Expo's position downstairs, but still that pulse will just continue tracking Hungary. And Secret, no, they don't have to get too aggressive here. Jonas is on Hungary to plant, and he doesn't even have the diffuser. 40 seconds left. And now being pinged by the Prismas. This is not an enviable position, but I guess Secret just want to give him a shot in this one. And so they're going to keep peeking. Hungry now, low HP. Perhaps time to give this a chance here.
Well, Prano really was the teammate on the side of Secret to show up so much on Playday #1, and he's still standing here on the Jaeger. So you have to look to him as well as Draven to be able to halt this attempt here from Hungary, who so far has been doing pretty well, but it looks like time really isn't going to be working in his favor, and Draven able to finish that off quite neatly, quite comfortably at the end there.
Really was a round driven by those info gatherers on the defense, and for it to be opened up by Hive with that C4, not sure whether it was the black eye or the cardiac sensor or some other info that prompted that C4, but regardless, it was clear that Secret were always informed as to what Vitality were going for. Vitality opting not so far to bring the IQ, which I feel would have been a good pick to counter some of this information gathering from Secret, because while Vitality are focusing on information gathering, of course they've got 10 drones on their side and also the Geminis from Hungary, but they're not doing anything to counter the info from Secret, and I think that can be to their detriment.
I suspect that, you know, when you have a look at what it is they're bringing, their plan here is to play from beneath, right? You know, you've got Fabian playing on the butt. It's an operator that he certainly does like to play. We've seen him on it quite a bit, but after he received that nerf, most notably losing those frag grenades, he's not a self-destructor who we've seen appear all that much. But of course, with the fear and the act available to self-destruction as well, suggests that that's what they're going to be going for. And in that instance, it's kind of like, you could have brought the IQ, but who do you replace out in order to actually bring her? Evidently, Vitality feel like the lineup that they've brought is going to be working more in their favor in terms of the strategy that they want to be attempting. But with both the Valkyrie and the Maestro on the side of Team Secret, you do have to question whether it would have been in their advantage to bring the IQ.
A great point about Vitality not necessarily having a lot of freedom with their lineup. For example, you mentioned the Maestro. On top of that, you've got the deployable shield from not only Chaos on Wamai, but also Expo on Smoke. And Vitality are really focusing on bringing as many explosives as possible. In fact, everyone aside from the aforementioned Buck has some kind of utility to destroy those gadgets, whether it's frag grenades or the lifelines or the breaching rounds from the Ash. So Vitality definitely have plenty of util for that. They also have the 3 stun grenades on Bibu and the 3 on Fabian to clear any ADSs and Wamais, which is of paramount here when trying to destroy that utility. So they're going to have to just take it on the chin that Secret have tons of info against them and do their best to suppress any kind of plays that Secret attempt to make using that information from the Valk camps.
Well, Secret, they're just playing obviously kind of patiently here. They have no reason to overextend or anything like that, and actually a lot of their players are very close together. They have the wall opened up here, and that means that they'll have pretty solid angles down there onto Classical Hall, which they'll be able to hold on to. That's where you see Hive there, waiting behind the shield. KS playing at the top of the main stairs as well for the same reason, and that should make it kind of harder for that push to be made. There's Fabian roaming down below, just moving on through, but obviously with the C8 and the skeleton key in hand, he should be able to make some openings in the ceiling and potentially apply some pressure onto Team Secret as he edges closer.
It's a toughie thus far for Vitality on this attack. Fairly slow progress, clearing out utility piece by piece, really cautious of these roamers. And now to use that breaching round from Ash to destroy that evil eye from Maestro. Effective there, but Secret rotated their deployable shields to fight this north side push, as you can see there from Hive, looking down the classical hallway towards 90, and Vitality are stacking up on this north side. No one playing study. Perhaps Hungary is going to rotate there, but it may be too late to make an impact from that position as Prano's already playing in study. Vitality now desperately running low on time in the 5 versus 5 with only 20 seconds left. Fabian looking to push up through here, but Hungry to find the opening pick. Traded now. Secret control here of study. That'll make it very difficult for Vitality to make this work. Forcing down the plant now, but Rise dodging that C4 just barely. Needs to force this plant and rely on his teammates to cover. 4 players from Secret. Is there denial? Goga to cover. Finds one, but can't find the second. And Draven to hold down the 4th there. Deny that plant and deny Vitality the round.
Vitality, they got kind of close there. The fact they were able to make it into the site, even though they were very slow on their initial push, was quite a good thing, I would say. The fact is, evidently, Secret had to change a lot of how their defense was set up so that they were prepared for what was coming in through the north. And even though there were some backwards and forwards kills and deaths, it was a little bit messy over by the red stairs area. Ultimately, they were still able to hold control of the site for the most part, because Rise had to try and make that plant before they had a complete clear, and in that situation it's very risky, especially when so many members of your team have gone down. So still, Vitality are going to be looking for their first round, and they'll be heading into the attack into Kitchen that Secret are setting up their defense for here. Once again, they're opting to bring Valkyrie, Maestro, and Pulse. So we've been talking about the intel, and it feels like they've been procedurally adding more and more on each round. And of course, when you've got the mute there as well, you're not going to have something like Thatcher available to you. It's going to make it a lot harder for Vitality to be able to gather the intel of their own so that they can make a more informed push. And what we've seen so far is Vitality have played relatively slowly so far, and it's almost like they don't really have much more time that they can afford to burn off or have burned off by the defenders for them to make these pushes. So far, it just hasn't worked for them. They need to be a bit more assertive, and when they have things like that working against them, it makes it very, very difficult.
Going for a 5 versus 5 execute when there's 25 seconds left and you don't have study control on Aviator, that was very, very difficult for Vitality. But you mentioned the mute pick here for Secret. Not only does that mute deny drones, but also that Gemini from the Yana of Hungary, not able to progress forward. It will get jammed, just like a drone as well. So really effective information denial here from Expo, potentially. Of course, we don't know whether it's been effective yet. Let's have a look at the Vitality push, though. It's horizontal. First floor onwards from this west side, seemingly. Ooh, Spot's had a player in mud there. That's Hungry. Might be able to get his team to get a pick here. But of course, Prano is supported here. Oh, he's just going to go through the drone hole. That's dirty. Prano gets away with his life. Only takes one bullet to the foot for it. Now we see Vitality looking to clear, once again, this horizontal push, but using the vertical holes. Bibu to find the opening. That's Hive rotating downstairs. Good cutoff from Vitality in the opening. Another one added to it as Bibu finds a second. A perfect read from Vitality, seeing that Secret are all rotating through that basement.
It's nice to at least see Vitality being able to get this information for themselves and utilize it, bringing down the Valkyrie and the Jaeger, two not insignificant picks. Now you're going to start to see a bit more of a move in. Hungry obviously still out here on the outside of the building, throwing in the frag grenade, but won't get any of his enemies. It's also quiet. This has definitely been one of those games so far where everything is very quiet at this point in the round. Less than a minute to go. Vitality are just going to be busy coordinating this push so they can actually move in on the kitchen. It's going to be significantly weaker when you don't have the presence from Team Secret, especially...
Are you kidding? Sorry, that was the third time that a Secret player has tried to rotate downstairs and Bibu cut him off.
That was exactly what I was going to say, especially when they keep trying to roam downstairs and getting caught on out. Well, Bibu is going to be going down as the first member of Vitality to fall, but with just 2 remaining members here on Team Secret, is it going to be enough? Sending your Maestro in downstairs as well to make this rotation. Will he be able to catch anybody out? There's someone directly on top of him, but Fabian is going to be jumping down. But now, they're just going to be looking out for those attackers. Fabian did get a kill, and Hungry follows it up, and that means the Vitality, they can take their first round. And I think, Dev, in that round, Vitality, they played this dance around Team Secret where they almost kind of do-si-doed around them and made them switch sides with them so that they could just move straight into the site, and suddenly it was the attackers, the defenders, sorry, who had to close in on the site themselves. And in that position, even though, you know, there was a man advantage, but nonetheless, the attacking side still were just positionally in that place where they could take advantage of those incoming defenders.
Yeah, and it goes to show, obviously, once you have that man advantage, especially such a significant one as a 5 versus 2 or a 4 versus 2 after BB got traded, then it really just opens up avenues for you. Instead of droning, okay, is this clear? You just can drone, okay, if we know this player is here and that player is there, then this has to be clear, right? It completely changes the way your execute can function. So for me, Vitality getting those 3 picks, cutting off those roamers, was the most pivotal thing that essentially won them that entire round. And I want to credit Bibu for that, but I also want to potentially credit the support staff. So I'm going to butcher this name as it's French, but Lilian, who's the coach of Vitality, and Helby, of course, who's the analyst. I don't know whether that was just some good VOD countering of Secret, who, of course, have played Villa quite a few times recently. If those support staff had noticed that Secret likes to make rotations through the basement and then told the roster that, BB made the most of that, because that was just super impactful. So huge commendations to Vitality to make that happen.
So this is quite interesting because Vitality evidently aren't opting to bring a hard breacher, but they have decided to bring the IQ this time. Now Prano is obviously playing on Bandit, which means that IQ will be able to easily hunt out those batteries, although likely you'll pretty much know where they are anyway, and Fabian on the buck should be able to deal with that. But it means that Team Secret will probably have quite a bit of attention on the bottom floor because they'll be expecting Vitality to be going down there to deal with that utility that they can't otherwise do without a Thatcher and a hard breacher and things like that. So this is likely where Team Secret are setting this up. And in fact, with KS on the Legion, we did see him playing around downstairs around Piano in the prep phase. You might see some of those goo mines. You did just see a couple there on the red stairs. And so it will kind of, the whole plan is to stun Vitality's ability to make these rotations through the map in the places that they're going to have to.
It's dangerous to not play a hard breacher. You tend to have to force yourself through choke points, but one of those choke points is the Astro Stairs, and it seems to be working well for Vitality. I don't know where those other picks are going out, presumably the Master side indeed. Bathroom also clear now, but Rise, wait, you're in stat trophy rather? How did you get in there? Probably just jumped in through that heads window you can see is open, and now Secret in a position where they need to retake. Vitality has taken the site from them, but hello there, guys. Game has frozen, so you are now on us. Welcome back. You saw my concentration face.
Oh, no!
No, we are back again. And there's a C4. Prano's gone crazy. Maybe this retake is possible. I don't know. KS is going to chuck out a goo mine for good measure. Vitality still have that numbers advantage, however.
Team Secret just sitting there thinking, we can do it, but not if you're looking. And goes another one of those goo mines just trying to prevent a push coming in from Astro, which is where we are now seeing Fabian. Hungry, sending in the Gemini to figure out where their opponent is. In goes yet another one to try and hinder this push, but 30 seconds remaining, and actually Fabian's not going to survive it out. But Goga does get a shot onto Prano in return, and that gives him the opportunity to start to plant this diffuser. All KS has to do is find him out. That's what he does. Headshot secured, and now he wants to find Hungry. Hungry, if he wants to win this out, is going to have to figure out where that diffuser is. But KS is very low HP. Less than 10 seconds to go. Is he going to be able to see where he is? He's right by the stairs. But it looks like he just doesn't know that. Hopping downstairs, but not going to get there quite in time. And that means Team Secret just managed to keep the round.
Wow. After the attackers' Vitality took control of Master, forced their way through Astro, Stairs, and also the aggressive push in through heads window from Rise, I thought that was pretty much all over, right? Vitality had a really good side control and really put Secret in a position where they had to retake, but just piece by piece, Secret brought it back. Unfortunately, we didn't see the initial moment there, but a C4 kill certainly helped it up. And then in the final moments there, that clutch with the Legion denying the plant and running away in that 1v1, even on such low HP. Really great stuff from Secret, and that does edge their lead even further away from Vitality.
You know, we didn't get to see the C4 kill, but we got to see the ragdoll, and everyone knows that that's the most fun part, right?
Yeah, right.
But returning here to Aviator, Secret were obviously the team that managed to win this last time, but Rise did make the attempt at the defuse. It just so happened there was still enough members of Secret standing and still in sight that they were able to do something about it. You mentioned before that one of the problems the Vitality had was that they didn't take control of Study. Most of them came in through the north side of the map, and that forced Team Secret to make a rotation with some of their utility, including those shields. And you had Fabian playing down below to open up the floor. But when you still didn't have that south side control, it meant that Secret still had things in their favor, which is what they were able to do. So much time had been wasted that Rise didn't have much of a choice but to attempt to plant the diffuser. And that put him in a position where there weren't many options, and Secret could exploit that. So if Vitality can obviously change how they approach this and bear those things in mind, then this should be able to work out pretty nicely for them. They've proven that they can do that, that even with their sort of slow play style, they've been able to make it work for themselves, as we saw in round 3. This is a very up-close...
Bomb located by attackers.
Oh no, never mind. I was gonna say, like, be like
Up close to the heart, maybe, for Vitality if they're down 2 rounds at the moment. Remembering that, of course, last week they had such a tough game against G2 on this very map. Sorry, no, I'm getting completely
Fabian
mixed up. That was Rogue. I'm completely messed up. They had a terrible... It's the fact that Rise is on this team. I'm just totally thrown, right? And Vitality and Rogue are the teams that have had huge roster changes. No, but Vitality really got stomped on last week by BDS on Coastline. So they really are in a spot where they want to get redemption for that atrocity that was last week. So off to a poor start here, but at least they have that 1 round to their name. Good map control here. So they're going for a north side push. But remember last time Vitality attacked Aviator Games, it was a lack of study presence and a lack of time that really bit them in the behind. We're going to be keeping my eye on Fabian because he's really the player that's looking to expose positions from Secret, the anchors, and also hopefully go for that last-minute pinch. But I didn't think he was super effective last round. And now Secret have already found that opening engagement onto Rise. All his utility gone.
It's a good start there for Team Secret. As if I remember correctly, I think Hive was the first to go down last time that they were playing on this site. Fabian starting to open up the floor. And the vault above him is going to become, well, the player's going to be more vulnerable. That's what happens. Draven goes down to Bibu as the Ashe was ready and waiting to take advantage of that positional forcing that Fabian was setting up for them. So now things are even as far as man count goes, but there's a lot more health that has been lost on the side of Vitality. That's going to make it a bit harder for them to be aggressive should they need to or desire to. Frag Grenade was going to get cooked, but instead, Hungry's just going to go straight in with those shots. Less than 20 seconds remaining. Fabian's going to continue opening up the floor, helping facilitate his team's push, but the smokes are going to make it infinitely harder. The Gemini does get caught out by Prano, but Vitality have to make the attempt anyway, and there's the C4. That's going to prevent Goga from getting in that default position to plant. Hungry's got to do what he can. Is he going to be able to get it down? No, he isn't. Hive finishes things off. And Team Secret, they get themselves another round.
Almost the exact same thing happened, really, as the previous Vitality attack. Secret held on for as long as they could. They didn't overexpose themselves. I don't believe any players actually got caught out through the floor from Fabian. Of course, you did mention that there was the player in Vault who was forced back thanks to Fabian's shotgun and then exposed to the drone hole, which the Ashe then finished off of Bibu. But aside from that, I don't feel like Vitality got a lot out of that vertical play, and maybe would have gotten a bit more out if they had instead taken Study. I know I sound like a broken record on that, and I know it's really difficult to take Study, especially when Prano is playing so hard in there, and there's also such a strong presence at top brown. But it seems to be a recurring problem for Vitality. They're struggling to plant at that vault door when there's gas, C4s, and the possibility for a player to peek out not only from inside the objective to swing on the planter, but also from Study. It's just way too much for Vitality to handle.
Well, this is the interesting thing is Team Secret evidently expected there to be that north side push. You could tell by how they had their what? All right. Well, cool. Bye, Prano. You were the highest rated player on the team last week, and someone clearly wants to ensure that you're not this time. But you could tell by just the orientation of things like their shields and things like that they were expecting that north side push. So if Vitality had decided to come in through the south side, that would have forced Team Secret to at least change some of that defensive setup, have more of a presence down on the south side of the site. And then that's when they could have started taking advantage more of opening up the floor and things like that. Oh, Bibu. Well,
yeah, this is once again the pattern of teams who are at a deficit playing aggressive on the back of it to try and rekindle that man count. And it almost panned out for Expo. I guess it was worth it. Oh, and he gets a free drone thrown to him from Ruins. Nice stuff. Does he get out alive? That's the question here. Because if he doesn't, that is totally not worth it. You see Rise is cautious, and Expo gets out without a lick of damage to him. Bibu obviously taken very low after getting injured there, but gets up. Vitality now very cautious of this aggression, but still Secret fighting from behind thanks to that team kill. And also notably, Prano, I don't believe he had time to put out any of his utility, whether that's the ADSs or the barbed wire / bulletproof cameras. So if Vitality might be thinking right now, look, let's abuse these grenades that we have. Let's abuse these flashbangs and see what we can do with it. But Bibu just catches off Draven on a rotation. Low HP doesn't seem to matter for him.
And you know, when you think back to the last time they were playing here on Kitchen, it was exactly that Secret were getting called out on. But Vitality, they've just rushed straight on into the site. That means Secret are going to have to try and retaliate, but unable to is Hive. KS is actually going to do something, but he gets traded out. Goga bringing the diffuser down. That puts Team Secret in this post-plant scenario, and all that's standing is Expo. In goes the C4 so that he can open up that rotation for himself. He won't be able to use that against any of the players, but it doesn't matter. Rise is able to finish him off himself. And seriously, it looks like that there is such a weakness here for Team Secret on this site. This is the second time in a row that Vitality were able to take it.
The previous time Vitality won that, it was thanks to Bibu catching out 3 picks on the roam, and then Vitality taking advantage of the man advantage to execute on site. And I guess it was actually kind of similar. The difference is this time it was the fact that, well, one, Prano got team killed, which already put Vitality in numbers advantage. And then as soon as Bibu found the kill, repelling pantry window onto the player in kitchen, not only does that tell Vitality that they're another player in the advantage, but it also tells them that, hey, one of the guys on kitchen is dead, which means there's more likely that of the remaining players, there's going to be more roamers than anchors, right? Because you've just killed an anchor, so one less anchor to deal with. And as soon as that pick came out, you could hear the IGL call, probably due to Fabian. Great player, great IGL. Best player in the world, some say. I don't know about that. We'll see how Vitality do this season. Maybe he can make some big claims about that one again. But that IGL call to just, guys, we've had 2 picks, and one of them was on site. Let's just go. And it was the perfect read. The perfect read. And that lesion might have slowed them down a little bit, but you could see that it didn't make the difference in the end. And Vitality, that the fact that they were just together on that, took advantage, didn't delay. That was so perfect for them.
Well, Team Secret. I was gonna say here on their attack, they've opted to bring. I mean, you know, all right.
This is a very long second.
Whatever.
Hello.
Hello again. Welcome back. I was going to say they've opted to bring a Nomad this time, which is something that we didn't see from Team Vitality. So evidently they're thinking about those potential rotations that the team are going to try and make onto them and wanting to shut that down before that's possible. And I think that that's quite a good thing because it shows that, you know, they're thinking in that extra dimension, that they're aware of what Team Vitality may be trying to do against them. And it sets them up a little bit better for kind of protecting themselves and focusing on what it is they've been doing. But focusing on what it is they've been doing is kind of, as weird as it sounds, what was their downfall on their defense there on Kitchen? They were very focused on, okay, we're going to be in this part of the map. We're going to make these rotations in the basement. We're going to do this. And suddenly you've left a really big opening in for Vitality. Obviously, it's a bit different when suddenly the side is switched. Now you're on the attack. But, you know, the point is they need to be ensuring that they're still remaining vigilant even when they bring that utility.
Very much so. And speaking of utility, what we saw teased out there from Vitality at the start of that round, I believe is a game crash. So we're just relaunching that for you guys. There was the castle, which was brought, I believe, by Fabian. And that's when Secret has to keep in mind, especially when they bring operators like the Nomad, kind of this flex utility, those flex operators. You need to ensure that you have enough explosives, as we saw from Vitality when they were rocking like every operator aside from the Buck that had something to deal with castle barricades, evil eyes, etc., etc. Secret have to ensure that they're doing the same, because 3 castle barricades, that already is 2 breaching rounds from Ash and 1 lifeline from Zafir. Like, you need to have a hefty amount of that utility. And if you see that there's Maestro cameras, evil eyes, whatever it is, Goy shields, deployable shields, and as soon as you add on to that the fact that you've got to burn the ADSs, you've got to burn the magnets, things start to really run short, and you're looking really really poor in terms of your utility economy. So that's one thing that Secret got to keep in mind, especially going into this round where there is that little bit of extra util from Vitality. But on the flip side of that, bringing the Nomad gives you some other kinds of utility, and maybe you don't have to worry so much about flanks because you've got that covered, and maybe they'll catch out some Vitality players doing that as well.
Well, it looks like they are going to continue playing out the rounds. So, like, we could be psychic and keep trying to theorycraft what's going. We're being told that we are going to be going back soon, so don't worry too much. We will be back eventually. But I kind of like the point that you bring up, and I'm very intrigued to see. Hopefully we'll see what it is that actually happened with that. And there we go. We're actually back. So Fabian with the castle barricades, he is still standing. Whoa. Whether or not the barricades are, that's something else. But Prano isn't going to be. And actually, Hive, that Nomad that we did speak about, is going to be the last one here for Team Secret. Evidently, they've had a tough attack, but Fabian going down as well, not able to land that last headshot as Bibu clears it out. And Vitality, for many reasons which we did not get to witness, are able to take their first defensive round.
He is back, they say, referring to our beautiful observer medics. Unfortunately, we did miss a bit of that round, but we did see. I get a chance to speculate about what happened at least a little bit. There was plenty of utility from Secret, right? To deal with that util, but clearly something didn't work out. It looked like they were going for a study brown stairs push. I can assume that Vitality brought some util to counter that, whether it was shields or whatever. And yes, clearly Secret eventually did manage to take back that control, but clearly not without losing quite a few players in the meanwhile. And without those trades, it was fairly easy for Vitality to close that out. Mind you, a couple nice shots from the Nomad at the end of it, but yeah, not super impactful, I guess. And Vitality getting one step closer to evening this up, whipping out the castle once again. Oh no, surely not. Come on.
It's a curse.
Hello.
Whatever it is. Hey guys, welcome back. Yeah, it's
yes.
Our lovely observer medics is having a couple of issues with his PC. So I think that he's trying to see if we can get a rehost, and he's going to restart his PC, and hopefully everything will be working out. But I was going to say that Vitality probably feel really happy that their first win on the defense. We did actually get to see the end of the round, but whether or not we'll get to see the next one is something else. It looked so they were going to be doing a trophy defense, and we were seeing similar operator choices come out as we did when Team Secret were doing a trophy defense, and that is we saw the IQ on the side of the attack, we saw the Bandit on the side of the defense, and things like that, and that actually worked out in the favor of Team Secret when they were playing before. So whether or not that's going to actually work out in the favor of the defense, once again, that'll be very interesting to see. We did see that regardless of what happened in that last round, Team Vitality, a lot of those players did take a significant amount of damage before we got to the end of the round. And yes, they were able to win it out. That certainly can't be discounted. But it kind of suggests that if Team Secret are being able to do that and have that effect on them, then that makes them a lot more vulnerable in these rounds, and could start to be exploited a little bit if they can be caught out somewhat more decisively than evidently happened in the last round.
Yeah, so one thing I just wanted to point out, one of the very, very few things that I managed to catch on that round before it froze was the fact that there was a castle barricade on what I call the heads window. So it's right outside Trophy, that little kind of landing connector room towards the hallway where like 90 and Red Stairs is. I call that room heads. A little window there. And that window was utilized really effectively by Rise on Vitality when they were attacking. In fact, if you recall, I believe it was round 4, attacking stat where there was no hard breaches from Vitality. They, instead of focusing on opening up the master wall like you would maybe more typically see, they pushed 2 players up Astro stairs. They pushed a couple of people funneling through bathroom and a couple Rise jumping in through that heads window. And it actually turned it into a retake scenario for Secret because Vitality had enough pressure from enough different pressure points to eliminate those Secret players on site and force the Roamers into a retake. Mind you, that one ended with KS winning a 1 versus 2 clutch. Now let's have a look at what happened in that previous round. We've got a couple replays here. And
we get to see some nice spicy stuff, you know. There you go. Some good shots coming out. Everyone loves the pew pew.
Yeah.
Am I right? But it's been really nice to actually see a lot more, I think value's the wrong word, but kind of good stuff coming out of players on both of these sides. I mean, when you look at what happened with Vitality when they played against BDS on Playday 1, the analyst desk, spoke about it a little bit at the start. It was somewhat disappointing, if I put it euphemistically. Vitality obviously only came away with 1 round, so they've definitely beaten that now, at least. That's something good. But even when you look at the individual players, there were no positive KDs on the round. The highest survival rate was 13% on Vitality. Wow. Right. And so they just evidently didn't have a good time. And so it's at least nice to see something better coming out from them this time. And it sort of goes back to something that you mentioned at the start. And I think a lot of people, as they've been speculating about these teams with new players and things like that in the lead up to the EU League, this is something that they've been thinking is, okay, Fabian's been brought in. He's their new IGL. He has a very militant style of leadership. Some people say it's not for me. Some people say, no, that works great for our team. Hopefully it works great for Vitality. But regardless of how these players respond to it, they're going to require a bit of time to actually get used to it and learn how to kind of the ropes of that style of leadership. Not only because it's a very unique style of leadership that's very to Fabian, but also just it's a new player and we've got to get used to playing with him. And so I think that obviously it's kind of early to say, but we've seen some things from Vitality today that suggest that they've already had improvements from the first play day. And if things keep going this way, then actually this could be kind of an optimistic look for Team Vitality and something that a lot of people were hoping to see despite that disappointing first play day.
There's a lot of expectation for Vitality this season. People throw around the word super team quite a lot in EU at the moment. But if you run down the list, right, Fabian, multiple-time world champion, renowned IGL and captain, Bibu, long-time champion and like really strong fragger and captain in various French teams over the years. Hungary, who's been historically like the best player on the old Penta roster. Goga, also really renowned world champion. And Rise, who's been one of the core players and one of the key players for Rogue in the past. So yeah, totally a star-studded lineup. And Fabian, you mentioned his leadership style, very much the stick rather than the carrot. And it was really interesting to listen to Fabian on the 6on6 podcast, which is run by Intero and Canadian. They spoke a lot about leadership. And you're right, Fabian has a very, use the term militant, like very specific kind of, I don't know what how do I say this nicely? Like it's kind of my way or the highway style. No, very much so. He's openly says, if I think you're doing, and he would use a more severe word than this, if I think you're doing poorly, I will tell you that you are doing poorly. And that can swing both ways. But so far, I think we're starting to see a couple of flashes of the Vitality that is maybe finding their feet and developing that respect that they need between them to ensure that that kind of leadership style, that carrot rather than the stick, is going to work, because you need to make sure that there's respect there. Otherwise, someone who's telling you that you're playing terribly, they're not going to respect you. They're just going to be upset with you. And so I think that respect and that experience between the team players developing over time is totally the key to Vitality finally pulling things together.
Yeah, and I think hopefully, there's that castle barricade that you were mentioning before. I think hopefully it's something that we do start to see as we progress through the season. As I say, it is early to say right now. Vitality and Secret, they're sitting on very, very close score lines here with the 3-4, which, as I said, does guarantee that Vitality will have a better day today than they did on Monday. but they still have the opportunity to take things here. And with a pretty good defense, that they had on the first round of this half, if things continue that way, then maybe they could overtake what Team Secret have been able to do so far. There are all those ADSs there in the closet. They're 3? Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
He's
I love this strat. Baby's saying
All
no.
right.
I'm going to
Never
take some
mind.
of those back.
He's like, yoink.
I think that strat was that when yoinking those ADS is literally just because Vitality spotted that it's a heavy study push right away. In fact, this Valkyrie camera's already spotted 3 players that are pushing from the study side. So if it's not going to be a heavy master push, then rotate your ADSs. I really like that adaptation from Vitality. The intention was to go for a hard closet hold using those ADSs and the magnets, but maybe not so impactful right now. There is, in fact, only hard breacher on Secret side is the Maverick, so they're not really needing to deal with any of the mute jammers on the walls. Gogo's going to hold on here for as long as possible, but it seems like potentially the rest of Vitality is going to fall off. Draven goes down, but there's a trade from Prano. Nice stuff there. And Secret brute force their way through this ground.
Prano did just catch the feet of a player sat there at the top of the staircase, but it's not going to turn into anything. And so for now, they're just holding on to these angles. He starts to edge forward somewhat. There's another black eye that's going to be removed. That's going to take away all the more intel from the side of Vitality as they start to feel the pressure of being pushed up upon by Team Secret. Go to the Ash breaching rounds. And
you know what happens sometimes,
and
Gia? You know what happens sometimes.
Look, do you want to know the crazy thing? Is it doesn't really matter at this point because this series will never be as long as the series that was on NA last night. People will know what I'm talking about. It went on for 4 hours.
I don't.
So, oh yeah, you're in a weird time zone, aren't you?
It's literally 6 a.m. right now.
About.
Literally 6 a.m. right now.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like it's about to get bright outside. Yeah. Welcome to Australia. Tell me about this NA game. Tell me, Gia, what happened?
No, you know what? You go read some social media. We don't need to dwell on what happened in NA last night, but it went on for quite a long time. So if anyone wants to feel a little bit of optimism, it's the fact that these issues, it's not going to drag out quite as long as that. We're just trying to figure out what the problem is right now. There is some suggestion there might be a server problem rather than a Medix's PC problem. So we're just going to try and get that sorted out. But Team Secret, they were looking pretty good on this attack so far. They got rid of those cameras very, very swiftly. We don't know if the third black eye is still remaining. And in fact, I don't think we saw it get placed. So not entirely sure where that might be. But the point is they've forced Vitality to kind of change some of their defensive setup, as we saw with the ADS, once they figured out where that attack was coming in from. And now they're starting to apply that pressure onto them as they're all a lot closer to the site. So that's where we are now. And obviously have to wait to find out what the conclusion to the story is.
Admittedly, I was a bit surprised that Gogo was even able to find one kill there. I don't know whether it looked like a wallbang from my angle. I don't think he actually could see the player on the other end. But Secret, they're going into that and they're thinking, okay, there's reinforcements here, like clearly a stack of utility. And Vitality had Valk cams calling out the players that were pushing up, and Secret are just like, look, let's take no hesitation. Let's just absolutely send it. And that enabled a really good refrag onto Goga. And honestly, if Goga hadn't found that kill that exact moment that he did, then he would have been taken out with no benefit, no frags at all for Vitality. So I'm really liking this Secret, like no hesitation style. Like they've got their drones in there really early. They're really efficient, and their entries are just right on the back of those drones, making those entries as fast as possible and as efficiently as possible. Goga admittedly got a bit of a lucky shot there. So that's the kind of thing that's probably not going to repeat. So it's actually a really good sign for Secret. And even though they lost that player, it was immediately traded. So it's not a huge loss. And they gained half the map of control for it as well. But to keep in mind, though, if Secret attempt to just go for like a push through landing into either stat or trophy, they're super exposed to master. So I'm definitely expecting that Secret are going to attempt to rotate to master and to have like that second prong in their push. But of course, that's going to be tough because of the hard holding closet. So maybe Secret's going to stall out at that point, in which case Vitality can still very much win the round, especially since they already have evened up that man count with Goga getting that first kill, which means less drones, less utility, and another less player to pinch from Secret.
Yeah, it will be interesting if that is, how things manage to work out. And you mentioned how Team Secret have been particularly efficient at using drones. It sort of goes back to what was said at the start. Team Secret, they feel very comfortable on this map because they like to do things very methodically. We've seen that in the way that they've played. It hasn't always worked out for them, but you can still see the kind of thought process behind what it is they're doing. And so I think that's just a testament to how it is they like to do that. And we did see Vitality, a little bit of their success when they were on the attack was just bursting in through back when we went on to that kitchen defense on round 6. And Vitality, they saw the opportunity, they ran in. They haven't been mindlessly aggressive by any stretch of the imagination. They played actually relatively patiently for a lot of today, but it just isn't really the sort of thing that Team Secret would be very characteristic of them. So to see them being very stringent with those drones and being very careful and using that intel pretty meticulously is entirely unsurprising for this team. And what I kind of find funny about it is it's been working well. It worked well against Na'Vi, who they didn't beat, they drew with Na'Vi. So, take that as you will. It was on Oregon. So it was
a good game.
It was a good game. You should go back and watch the VOD. But it's
especially if you like Carly.
Right.
I love Carly.
It's kind of, I'm glad someone does. It's kind of one of those things where they can play this thorn in the side of these teams who are supposedly like the big boys, right? Because Na'Vi, they obviously have a very, very good history and everyone has a lot of hope for them this season. And Team Secret were able to cause quite a problem for them. So far here on Villa with Vitality, who have all these star players that we've spoken about, Team Secret have been able to cause a problem for them. And it's you being able to use those kind of methodical ways of playing.
Yeah, very much so. And funnily enough, for me, I mean, I'm shifting the focus back over to Vitality again. Some of my favorite rounds that have been going on in this game, the ones that I thought have been the most pleasant to watch, were Vitality's 2 attacking round wins onto the kitchen attack. It was just, it was they read Secret like a book. The first time when Bibu cut off those 3 players through the basement, it was so good. And you very rarely see the basement utilized by the attack because it's like, it's so big and there's no objectives down there. You can't really get much ground from it. So what you're going to do? Bibu said, well, we know that they use the basement to rotate, and that's the only thing they use it for. He knew the exact place to sit in the basement. He was in a pretty safe location, just holding an angle onto the staircase. 3 kills from that position. And then from that point, obviously, it enabled Vitality to execute with a numbers advantage. Similar thing happened on that other attack where, Prano was TK'd during the prep phase. Unfortunate, right? Fabian actually took credit for that kill in chat. I don't know if you noticed.
I did see
he was
that.
like, shouldn't have tried to kill my drone. That kill counts as mine, +1 to me. He literally said that. I love it. Yeah, I love the banter from Fabian. So, yeah, obviously, Prano was taken early, and then Bibu on the rappel on pantry cuts off a player in sight. Vitality flicked the switch straight away. And I loved seeing that. Yeah, awesome stuff from Vitality. That said, they're still at a deficit here in this game. I'm not super confident that they can bring it back. Secret are definitely looking really strong on their attack. I love the initiative that they take. But, who knows? Game's still ongoing, so it's pretty difficult to call it either way. But there's definitely been a lot of hope for Secret, especially as the underdog team coming into this series.
Yeah, I completely agree. And, we don't know when we're going to get back in the game. And I think the analysts are itching to have a little bit of a say. We've spoken for so long, so far. So let's have a listen to what the analysts have to say.
Thank you. Finally, some experts here to talk about the details, right?
Wow. Jesus, Milo.
No. Oh my god.
Come on, man.
What is this?
All right. We got to spice it up. I know James and Gio have been trying very hard, but just to kind of put everybody in the same bucket as us, there's some issues right now, technical difficulties. A nice graphic was posted. So you'll see, hopefully the game is ongoing, but hopefully we'll be rehosting. We'll be back in there with Gio and Dev in just a moment. There was something circulating about the Jaeger being shot Prano, that is, for having an illegal skin. For people that don't know, I'll leave it to you, Jess, please, to explain how that rule now works before we move on.
I mean, now that we've got time, let's just throw it out there, ladies and gentlemen. There are several uniforms that you can use, and then the rest have been banned, right? You know, you can't use any of the, you can't use Twitch Elite, you can't use any of the Elite skins. You can use Jaeger Pro League, you can use some of the Pro League skins, and then the old pilot skins and stuff like that. You can use some of them. It's very strict on the amount of skins you can use, but the one that we saw Secret using on the Jaeger, that was fully okay. Just want to throw it out there, make sure everyone's aware. You can absolutely use that skin. All
phases,
of them. The ones with the white
teams.
and the black and the gold trims, and they look really good. That one is the one you can use. So they didn't TK him for that. What actually happened, as I think James alluded to before, Fabian jumped his drone. And unfortunately, as the drone jumped, there happened to be, a head around, and things happen, even at a tier 1 level.
KS is trying to compete with Corey on the TK level, so I think coming into this first season of the league, Corey had something like 60% of the TKs in Europe, so that's not too shabby. I know we're throwing him under the bus for some reason, but Corey is our hero. So Dez, we're ready to go back. Any final words before we head back in?
Nope, go back.
All right, let's go. Gio, James, all yours.
Just go back.
G'day there.
Go back.
Yes. We have a game. It's Villa. I actually feel like I've casted so many good, tight Villa matches so far. In fact, I casted Villa 4 times, I think, so far in the EU and APAC leagues combined. We didn't. You and I did the CAG Guts one, right?
I'm gonna say yes. I have not been keeping track of how many.
When you cast like 10 games in 2 days, you forget.
I know that I think I've casted all the Oregon games so far, or at least I've casted the most Oregon games so far because Dez, obviously Dez is, he loves Oregon, and I think every time Oregon's come out, because I've casted it 3 times, and I've been like, come on, give this to the guy who really wants it. But I actually don't remember how many times I've casted Villa, but I have seen a number of pretty interesting Villa games, and I think the kind of cool thing about it is it's one of those maps where you have to think a lot about what it is you're doing, but unlike Clubhouse, there are different ways that you can go about that. So you still could see quite a lot of personality and variety in the defenses that you do see come out.
Yeah, I love seeing variety. I was actually having a chat earlier tonight with I'm not sure if you were in the channel at the time, but I was chatting to some of the other guys in the talent team and saying, I actually really enjoy the meta that we're in currently, especially this season with Steel Wave updates, Kali more viable, got Yana in there, Oryx as well. I call it the variety meta because there's a lot of different options that are possible, especially once you look at like both EU and APAC North, where we've seen not only that kind of heavy utility and projectile soak meta, but we've also seen some really aggressive metas. We've seen no hard breach rounds. We've seen heavy hard breach rounds. I love the diversity that we've been getting.
I think it's kind of funny that we've gone from, Thatcher bans, that's really oppressive, to, Thatcher bans, now we have all these cool options. But as you say, well, we are heading now into this next round.
One thing I will say is you've got Vitality actually won that previous round. So the score was 3-4 to Secret when we did rehost, and we were mid-round on Vitality, and they did get the opening pick. It was when Goga roamed over in games, but nice to see that they actually converted that round.
Yeah, so things are even, as you say now, and that's kind of what we were talking about before. In goes the frag grenade, but Hungry was around the corner, so not going to be caught out by it just yet. I don't know if they have any others remaining, but it looks like instead they're just going to go for eventually to open up the laundry wall.
I love those C4 rips like 2 or 3 times from Vitality to just tempt Secret and make them a bit concerned.
Just the bait.
Remember on Vitality's attacks, after finding a pick, they pushed up aggressively through the pantry stairs and into the bomb site really effectively. So we'll see what play is here for Secret. Potentially something similar. Prano watching flank at the moment. He may well use a thermite charge on the wall at the top of pantry into kitchen. Bit of presence above as well from KS. Fabian roaming as well. KS cautious for the rest of his team, but he spots out the pulse on the run out. Is there a punish? No! How were you allowed to get that one? Rise to finish off Expo and take down the drone. No refrag thus far either for Secret. Rise getting away with murder. 40 seconds left for Secret to make good on it.
He is going to be left with a sliver of HP, but as you say, under 40 seconds remaining, and still all 5 members of Team Vitality. Fabian is still upstairs. He's going to have a bath. He likes some hygiene.
Good.
But finally...
Clean up.
Okay, but Bibu's not going to be part of the team anymore. And these trades going out. It's going to look like actually more members of Vitality are going down. Prano gets that 2K. That's huge. Suddenly Hungry is the only one remaining, but the plant is going to be going down. Prano can look out for those angles to protect it. And so it's finally been achieved. Hungry going to be looking for these 2 players here before he has the opportunity to try and disable. He doesn't know exactly where they are. He's able to get 1. That's Prano who's going to be going down, and now Hive is just going to be sitting outside. If Hungry peeks, he's going to be at risk of being shot down rather brutally. He's trying to figure out where he is. He couldn't get it, and Hive finishes things off. Team Secret taking their first attacking round.
That's it, isn't it? First time that they've won an attack, and it got so very close down to that 1v1. But I've got to commend Secret because they crawled that back from the deficit, and it looked like perhaps that their push wasn't quite going to pan out as Rise opened things up, taking down Expo with that cheeky run out and to take down the drone. Now, that kill wasn't actually traded at all for Secret, but they said, all right, guys, look, we've lost one of our players, mainly our kind of flank player in Expo, but let's just focus on doing the strat that we wanted to do, and that's pushing up through Panshooter. Thermite open that wall. Somehow they cleared sight. Good entries in particular from, was Draven? Or was it was actually Hive. It was Hive himself with that ARX on the Nomad. Some good entries, and then to force down that plant, and then back out and play it in the post plant. Really good stuff for Vitality to claw that one, rather Secret to claw that one back.
Yeah, I think Hive had a particularly good round that time. So Vitality will be moving back to Aviator. Now, if you remember correctly, they were able to win this one out before.
We didn't see it though.
We did not. We did not.
Too much into it.
We had, minuscule ability to watch that. But remember, they did bring a castle, and they haven't opted to do that this time. So that kind of utility sync from that perspective isn't being done. But of course, you still have the Jaeger, the Wamai, you've got the Valkyrie as well, so they're going to have to be looking out for those cameras. They do have the IQ, so that is going to be a possibility. And of course, Draven with those Geminis too will be able to provide some intel. You're not going against the mute this time, so you don't need to worry about the signals being jammed or anything like that. But it is a difference in strategy here from Vitality.
Yeah, Vitality have changed it up a little bit. We actually saw the mute being super effective in the round just prior, stalling out those Geminis from Draven, starving that info. But Vitality for now looks like they've made a lot of early round calls based on what their opponent is doing. We saw it earlier when they were roaming on the stat side, or when they were defending the stat side bomb site, and they saw that it wasn't going to be a master push, so they rotate their ADSs out of the closet. And seemingly here it's similar. They've noticed that, well, Secret aren't early contesting the master and stat side, so let's re-roam over there. Fabian making a lot of good IGL calls off of his off of his Valkyrie cameras. But if you recall, Secret, they did push from the brown stairs and study side last time, were unsuccessful. It took a lot of time, and now a minute down. Looks like that's the same focus once again.
So much of that floor has been open now. It's going to make it easier for those angles to attempt to be held here. KS does know that, well, Goga's moved now, so that makes things a little bit more open here at the top of the stairs, but he was aware that he was there. Black Eye going down as well, and those pings just being set out for the rest of the team. Bibu holding on to onto the window there on 90 because they know how much destruction they caused, using it to their advantage when it was them on the attack. Expo going for a long flank.
Yeah, with that Valkyrie and those legions on the board, Expo on the flank will have to be extra cautious as Vitality were heavy roaming on that north side of the map. Oh, there you go. There's the goo mine. But of course, Rise may not have heard that. He's quite a fair distance away. Seems to be potentially aware of it. There wasn't anyone on the camera. Okay, shoots out a bullet by accident, I guess, and that's going to give Rise the hint. Now, Draven to find a kill onto Goga. Who am I dying? Not covered by those pancakes. Rise takes out the flanker of Expo. So now we focus back onto the study side as Vitality cannot be unhinged on this roam. Hungry. Wow, that was an aggressive push from KS into sight. 30 seconds left in Secret at a man disadvantage, preparing for this execute and just staring at that bomb site, thinking, how on earth are we going to get in here?
Draven being dislodged there by the smokes, that kind of forced him out, but it means that he and Prano, they could attempt to get these angles, but Bibu's going to shut that idea down pretty swiftly, getting that shot onto Draven, and that means just Prano and Haifa remaining, but Rise is going to deal with that problem right there. Prano can turn things around onto Bibu, but there's not much time left at all, and right here it's just pretty much impossible for Vitality to do anything, for Secret to do anything. I read the word Vitality and I say Vitality, you know? And so Vitality are able to secure Aviator games for themselves for a second time.
Yeah, so what I like to call this point when you're at 5-5, when draws are enabled and 6 points means that you guarantee, 6 rounds rather, means you guarantee at least 1 point on the standings. I like to call this breakaway point because it's the round in the match where either team guarantees that they cannot lose in this round. If you win right now, you will at least walk away with 1 point on the standings, and you lock out the opponent from getting those 3 as well. So this is always an extra pivotal round when there's no overtime. Getting yourself onto that match point, securing the possibility of at least that draw, will guarantee of the draw and the possibility of the trifecta, the triple points that you're looking for on the round. And I'm really looking at Vitality here because they're the ones to have clawed it back into this point after Secret got themselves on the 5th 2 rounds prior. Vitality, we've been critical of them, but are they able to spring into action this early?
And the thing you have to remember is, unlike what formerly happened in what we knew as Pro League, getting those points wasn't just about where you placed and how much money you get, but actually it acts towards those global standing points that eventually, you know, they go towards whether you're going to be going to the majors, which in and of themselves go towards whether or not you will go to the 6 invitationals. So they have a lot more weight to them than we ever previously had. And so to be able to secure that you're not going to be leaving with 0 points, it's a pretty big deal here for these teams, especially as the competition is pretty much the hardest in this region that it has ever been. Secret, they want to be ensuring that they are still putting up the fight to prove that they're still in this competition. Vitality have clawed their way back in this series exceptionally well, and Secret aren't going to let them go easily. Fabian, sitting here in the walk-in closet, he's ready for whether this pressure starts to move in. Nice Claymore place there. So many explosions, but Fabian has moved out the way. And of course, those discs will be in there to have added for that protection anyway. But it means that Team Secret can start to make their move in as the position of Team Vitality is being influenced.
Nice closet clear in the util, but Fabian's still alive. That deployable shield eliminated now. He really has nothing backing him other than himself. Spotted out on the drone. Another drone to come in. Well, he gets 2 of them. Surely Secret can just flash him out and take him out now. But there's no flashbangs left. In fact, no utility left for Secret to flush him out. Not even any concussions left. Just 2 explosives and a Claymore. And of course, that's not going to be super effective to flush Fabian out of that position, which means Secret have to make an entry here. And with Rise on the master doorway, then he has a crossfire with Fabian to support his teammates. So KS and the rest of Secret actually in a really tough position to try and flush this out. A really tough position. Looks like Draven's trying to find the angle vertically, but Fabian's actually standing on some solid floor. This is really tough now for Secret. They've seemingly flushed this out by getting rid of Fabian's utility, but that's not everything they need to do. They actually have to get the kill here.
It's also very frustrating because Draven no longer has either of those frag grenades remaining that he would otherwise be able to throw up through that floor. So that makes it so much harder. And Astro Stairs is being watched very keenly by Bibu, and he's able to just get a very easy kill onto Expo. There's going to be a lot of damage still onto Draven. There's a second for Bibu. And how Secret how they pass on the information, the Astro Stairs are being watched at at the top, be careful. And they peaked anyway, and that just led to Vitality getting this flawless round. And they've just been looking better and better as this series has gone on.
What a way to get themselves onto match point there with the flawless round. That closet hold was so effective there for Vitality. It soaked up all of Secret's utility, and they still weren't able to take out Fabian or Rise, who is supporting him from the master doorway. And after that, Secret were thinking, okay, well, I guess we just got to file up and try and brute force a different area, pushing up the Astro stairs. Bibu wasn't going to let that happen. And remember what's at stake here for both of these teams. Secret just coming into this EU League, never being in the Pro League prior. Obviously, KS has a lot of pedigree. These guys have formerly been the German champions, this very well-renowned team that competes in the GSA. But they need to make their mark here in the EU League and prove that they can really hang it here with the big boys, the likes of Vitality, G2, Rogue. And Vitality also have just as much, if not more, to prove, because they're coming off of some disappointing performances in prior seasons, maybe not living up to expectations after roster changes, adding players like Goga. And now here, adding Fabian and Rise, two new players which we would expect a lot out of. Vitality really is on paper a super team, but they didn't look at all like one last week in their match against BDS. So a lot at stake here for both of these teams. Best Secret can hope for is a draw, but Vitality have no intention of letting that happen.
You have to remember, though, that when Vitality last defended Kitchen, this was the one site that Secret are actually able to win out on that attack. We had the great instance of Hype sitting on the window and being able to get in those very, very key angles. And Vitality don't have an option. They had to come to this site for this last round. So if they're not to change many things up or adapt to what happened before, they could find themselves in that draw situation. So they're going to know that that pressure is on them, that they've come to what has been evidenced as their weakest site, and they can't mess it up because then they lose the win. So there's going to be a lot of responsibility here on their shoulders. And Secret are going to be aware of that too, right? Because they know that they have to pretty much execute exactly what they did last time. But the Vitality are going to be very aware of what that was. Fabian, once again, is up on the upstairs roam. He did get caught out in it before, but it was a little bit later into the round. There wasn't really exactly a specific dedicated roam clear that happened before, at least not a successful one. It was really more to do with the positioning of what was going on downstairs that worked out for Secret before.
Hello. How's it going?
It's the last
Do you
round.
come here often?
It's match point. Not now.
Well, I will say that it looks like Secret is shaping up for the same kind of attack that they did previously, where they primarily focus on getting that laundry wall open, and then I assume after the Thermite, who was about to place that charge down on the laundry wall, after that blows, probably going to rotate back around and go for the pantry wall, and I'll really be looking at Hyph this round to step up like he did previously. And while you mentioned that, yeah, for Vitality, the pressure's on, this is the only bomb site that they've lost on their defense. Let's also remember that Secret only won that in a 1 versus 1. So there's a wholehearted chance here that Vitality can get the upper hand, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them take this map with that in mind. But despite that, Vitality got the opening pick last time due to an aggressive play that wasn't punished by Secret, and I feel like Secret isn't going to let that happen again. They were making pretty good time management, but at the same time, now that Secret's done that attack once, Vitality are going to be aware of that strategy and be in better positions to counter and play off of it. So very difficult to call.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, one thing is the fact that we have seen KS go up through the upstairs, and because Fabian's kind of hanging around up there, if he's able to get that pick early on, which wasn't achieved the first time round, then maybe that will give them the early advantage, which Vitality did have and then later threw away when they were on this site before. So, you know, right now it's early on enough in the round that kind of either way could go. It's a case of if things are done the exact same way as they were before, Secret might be in a difficult position because Vitality will know what to expect, and because they only won on that 1v1 at the end there, it's a very thin thread to really rely on. But if they kind of are a little bit more decisive and a little bit more assertive at the beginning of the round, go for those kind of more pugnacious plays, then maybe they'll be able to weaken Vitality early on enough that, you know, once you get rid of the root, then you can knock down the whole tree. And they'll be able to secure that draw for themselves. It won't be what they want. It'll be the second draw that they've had so far of the 2 days that they've been playing here in the EU League. But if it means that they can prevent Vitality from getting the win, well, you've got to take what you can get.
We actually have confirmation that the round has finished, and although our observer disconnected, the game has finished. The final score was 6-6, meaning that Secret were able to once again win an attack onto Kitchen and secure a draw. You mentioned maybe not what they're after, but I think they've got to be definitely happy coming up through the Challenge League to tie it up with Vitality fighting from behind. I think Secret have plenty to be proud of for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Especially given the Vitality have shown such a significant improvement